I want you to use your imagination with me for a few moments. Let's create a television show for children. Let's create a show that educates and inspires them. A place where we're going to demonstrate love, kindness, and respect between all living things. A place where they can use their imagination and just find a little bit of hope and joy in this crazy world of ours. Can you see it? Can you imagine this? Let's also imagine that kids everywhere love this. They cannot wait for each episode to come each week, because we're not going to do the Netflix thing. We're not going to just drop all the episodes all at once so the kids can binge watch all of them for a week like little zombies in front of the TV. No, no, no. We're going to use good old-fashioned delayed gratification where they have to wait each week for the show. But that's okay. They still love it. Can you even imagine such a show? Hello and welcome to the Hands That Make channel. My name is Melissa and this is a place where we are going to explore our creative handmade adventures. Yes, if you're a returning viewer, this was formerly the Spicy Homemaker channel and we're going to discuss the rebrand that you know I've been dying to do towards the end of the episode, okay? But I just want to kind of back up and ask ourselves, why did I start out by imagining a children's show? Well, the one that I described actually used to exist, and it was called the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood Show. This show, it's the 50th anniversary this year of that show, and it ran from 1968 to 2001. It was a wonderful show for those of you who are not familiar with it, and hugely popular in the United States. It was created by Fred Rogers, who was Mr. Rogers on the show. And it was just so inspiring on so many levels. He created the show because he watched TV, and remember, I said this started in 1968, and he wasn't impressed with the TV selection at the time. Can you imagine what he would think today? So Mr. Rogers created this show that I had described earlier for kids, and it lasted, like I said, 33 years, okay? The reason it resonated with so many of us, and so many of us today still remember him fondly and with lots of admiration and even love, is because he had an unwavering message of love and respect throughout the duration of the show. And not only that, he carried that over into his life. He said one of the greatest gifts you can give children is honesty. So he was adamant about being the same person on camera as he was off camera. And many people have met Mr. Rogers in real life through the years. Sadly, Mr. Rogers is no longer with us. He passed away in 2003. But if you listen to those stories of people who met him or the interviews, they all say the same thing. He was this extremely kind and loving man who had respect for everybody. And it was just really, he's a very, very inspirational person. Now, real quickly, I want to tell you what this show was kind of like. It would start with him coming through the door of the house, right? And he would be singing the song, "Won't You Be My Neighbor?" And he was dressed up, he would have a jacket on, and he would go to his closet as he's singing this song and take the jacket off and put on a hand-knit cardigan that was always zipped up. Every hand-knit cardigan he wore on the show was hand-knit by his mother. How cool is that? Then he would sit down and change his shoes. He would have dress shoes on and he would change into some sneakers because, never knew this until just recently, the dress shoes on the set would make that tap, tap, tap noise as he was walking. Sneakers were quieter. So that's why he did that. Most of us didn't know. We just knew that was part of the routine in the beginning. Anyways, we have a rebrand, and I can't think of a better way to rebrand than by starting off a knit-along. And what better way to start off a knit-along than using Mr. Rogers as our inspiration? So we are going to start the Mr. Rogers Cal, the Mr. Rogers knit-along. So if you're on Instagram, please use the hashtag Mr. Rogers Cal. Crochet is always acceptable. Okay, put that out there now. If you've ever been a part of any of my knit-alongs, you know that the rules are always very easy. Go pop on over into the Ravelry group. It used to be the Spicy Homemaker group. It's now the Hands That Make. So if you're already a part of the group, don't worry, you don't have to find a new group. I just changed the name. If you're new, go look for Hands That Make group, okay? The rules are gonna be in the Ravelry group. We're gonna have a chatter thread, we're gonna have an FO thread, but all we're gonna be doing is knitting cardigans. Very easy. You can use works in progress. You can do them for a child. You can do them for a baby. You can do them for you. Cardigan is only any hand knit garment that goes on the top of you that splits up the top. It opens, right? It doesn't have to have buttons. It can. It doesn't have to have it can have a zipper, buttons. Doesn't have to have either, but it's just basically open, right? You can even do a vest. As long as it opens in the front, it's a cardigan in my book, okay? That's all. So this knit along is going to last. It's going to start today, and it's going to go through the end of May. And this whole Mr. Rogers neighborhood theme and won't you be my neighbor, you'll learn some more facts, fun facts about him, but that's going to be kind of a theme that I'm going to carry it throughout the next few months. And I want to introduce you to some people that are in my neighborhood that I find very inspiring and lots of fun. So stay tuned for that in the future. We are going to be giving away gifts, listen to me, prizes each month for this knit along. And the first prize for March, let me just show you what that's going to be. I just got it in today. So excited. This came from Erin of Holland Handmade, and it's this beautiful pink stellina skein. It is 84% superwash merino, 16% stellina and nylon. It's called the Carnation Collection. Very pretty. Thank you so much, Erin, too, by the way. I love this. I love her cards, too. Very pretty. Holland Handmade Company. And then also going to give away this set of minis. Depending on how many entries are in the first month, these are either going to go together or they may be separate. I'm not sure. And it also just depends on what comes in, you know. Anyone who wants to donate is always free to donate. If not, I have things I can give away too. I don't ever want that to be a limiting factor for giving away wonderful, beautiful yarn, right? Also, since this is a new show, I think we need to just give away a prize in general for the people on YouTube. And the way we're going to do that is you just drop a comment below on your favorite memory of Mr. Rogers or what you loved about him. And if you did not know Mr. Rogers or you're not familiar with him, then tell me about somebody who inspired you when you were a child. All right? And we are going to give away for that, also from Erin, this beautiful set of minis. Okay? One person in the comment section below will get this. All right. So as I mentioned, there is a hashtag Mr. Rogers Cal to use on Instagram. I am Spicy Homemaker on Instagram still. Very active over there. I love Instagram. I will definitely be giving out a prize on Instagram too. Depends on how many entries we get. That it will hinge on the frequency of those. So once people start using it, I'll see, and then I will give some things away. Stuff like this. I'm not sure when this is going to go out, but this is a beautiful set I bought from Dragon Horde Yarn. Tristan of the Yarn Cafe Girls. Oh gosh, I bought this, but she also gave yarn to us. And I love it so much that I kept what she gave me, and I'm gonna give you guys the stuff I bought. This is her fluffy sock base and fingering weight. And the color is called Dancing Through Life. Is that not fun? You also got a great coordinating mini. This is gonna be a prize at some point. I don't know if it's gonna be Instagram or not, but one more fun thing I want to do, and we gotta get this out today. I feel like I'm throwing so much information out at you guys, but you can handle it, can't you? Yeah, I think you can. There's gonna be notes too, so that'll help. But March 20th is Mr. Rogers' birthday. And a few years ago, someone, somewhere, started this Won't You Wear a Sweater Day on his birthday, March 20th, which is a Tuesday this year. So what you're supposed to do in honor of Mr. Rogers is wear your favorite sweater. Okay, hand makers, knitters, fellow makers. You guys, I know we all have a favorite sweater, right? So on March 20th, let's wear our favorite sweater and use the hashtag Mr. Rogers Sweater Day. All right, I'll put that here. Pretty sure that's the hashtag I was gonna use. But there's also one called Sweater Day for this particular, like, that's nationwide, okay? just so you know. But this is for us, so that way, depending on how many people do that, maybe there'll be a prize for that. If not, hey, it's so much fun to see what we love, right? And it doesn't have to be a cardigan, any sweater, okay? Okay, so since we are going to be doing a cardigan knit along, let's kick off with some of the things I have been doing since I've been gone, which is knitting cardigans. I am going to share with you 2 finished objects. And the first one is going to be the Sweet Bunting pattern by Chau. Okay, so this is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, and I knit one for a coworker who had a baby a few weeks ago. And this is a little bit bigger than the 0 to 3 month. I want it to be just, I don't know, to grow with them a little bit. So it's somewhere in between the 0 to 3 month and the next month up. I made the body a little longer, the sleeves a little longer. I generally do that with baby stuff, so that way, you know, you could just roll up the sleeves and they could just wear it a little longer. Because where I'm at, which is exactly smack dab in the middle of the United States, Illinois, it's near St. Louis, Missouri, our weather is crazy here right now. It can be cold one day and up to 60 the next day. 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I know a lot of you guys are in Celsius. I should know what that is, but I don't. Forgive me. Anyways, let's talk about this pattern because I love this. I love this so much. This was such a fun pattern. I will knit this again. This is a great pattern for introduction into color work. It's so simple. There's very, very little here, as you can see. And real quick, if you ever decide to knit this, go look through the Ravelry notes because one lady made a mistake and skipped one of the colorwork pieces, or one of the little pink, in this particular case, it's the pink yarn. She missed one in the middle and it looked like a heart. And that would be really easy to do and super cute. But if you see her picture, you'll know what I'm talking about. And she mentions it in her notes. I thought that was I might even do that the next time I knit this because it was really cute. Okay, what did I use for yarn? So I used Knit Picks yarn. I had DK Swish in the colorway. It was a Marine Heather. I had this color here, which depends on what light you look at. Sometimes it looks green, sometimes it looks yellow. I would say green yellow is fairly accurate. It is the Valley Yarns Superwash DK. And the pink color is Rowan Baby Silk. I think that's right. Rowan Baby Merino Silk DK. So I had all this laying around, and just so you know, if you were to do 0 to 3 month, the Knit Picks Swish DK was a 50-gram ball. If I would have done 0 to 3 months and followed the directions, that would have been more than enough for the sweater. And clearly you could use scraps for these as well. This took very, very little. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things in this pattern. One of the things that I thought was really interesting was this I-cord tie. And I really like the tie here because no buttons, you don't have to worry about sewing them on, and buttons are kind of fussy with babies sometimes. I just really like this tie. I think that's quick and easy. Now, the way this I-cord attaches, and I-cord is so easy to make. Seriously, if there's anybody out there who considers themselves, who's been knitting for a little while and considers themselves still a beginner but wants to try some new techniques, this is right up your alley. This is a good pattern for you. But you attach it in a very unique way. You would have to, I'm not going to describe it too much because the pattern will tell you how, but it was kind of loose here. It was a little loosey-goosey here. So I took a couple stitches and after I was done, because it goes right into here, and just stitched a couple in the back. And look, you can't even tell because after you're done, you knit this little button. I call it, it's not the button band, there's no buttons, but this little band. So it covers that up really nicely. But look at that. I'm very proud of this. And I cannot wait to give this to my coworker. I've been waiting to podcast so I can give it to him. I need to give this to him like this week. So what did I like about this pattern? Well, I liked it because, like I said, well, baby things in general use very minimal amounts of yarn. This was a 50-gram ball, basically. I used a little bit, I had to break in for, to the other ball, but I used very little for this particular size, which is the next size up, but very, very little. You can use scraps for the color work, which is very, very easy. I love that it didn't have buttons for a baby. I really do. Buttons aren't bad for babies. I just think this is really easy and nice for a mom on the baby. You don't have to worry about anything. It doesn't get in the way, or it's nice. I like it. If they're laying down on it, it's soft. That was what I really enjoyed about this. It's just so cute. I mean, it's so cute. It's bunting, and it's such an easy way to get into color work. Now, some words of caution. Ravelry is such a great resource, so I highly encourage you to look at some people's notes and look for the people who have, it looks like a little lifesaver, not like a raft lifesaver, right? It's little white raft with little red stripes through it. Look for that in the upper right-hand corner of their notes, and that means people have said this is helpful, their notes are helpful. Look out for those and click on them and read through them, because so there was this part on the yoke that was a little confusing in the instructions, but if you read the notes, one lady said in particular, it refers to the joining row. Now, where you're at in the pattern, you might think it's the joining row of the color work, and it's not. It's the joining row of where the sleeves meet. So one of them gave a tip that put a marker there because the sleeves you do last, which was really helpful. And then also you could just look at it. If you see some people, they had like this huge gap here because they didn't understand it went way further down, the measurement. And like I said, that part was a little confusing, but look at my pattern. Like I said, I'm Spicy Homemaker on Ravelry, and I favorited 2 patterns on mine that should show up when you pull mine up, and those people had really good helpful notes that I used, because I noticed this was going longer and longer, and if I cannot remember how the pattern was worded now, but it almost looked like it was supposed to be like 4 inches, and I knew that wasn't right. I knew that wasn't right. I just knew it. So I was like, I'm missing something here, and it made me go back and look at some things. So beware of that. Read through that. Always read through your pattern first, okay? Cannot stress that enough. Read through the entire pattern before you start knitting. You will thank yourself for that, okay? And then also, sweater patterns always have more than one size. Go through and highlight the size you want, okay? Or circle it with pencil, whatever you have to do, and then mark out the rest, okay? Do that. You will thank yourself for it. Trust me on this one. And that is it. That is the Sweet Bunting pattern by Chau. Now you guys, I'm so excited to show you this next finished object. Oh my goodness. You guys, this has got to be one of my favorite makes in a long time. I love this. This is the Playdate by Tin Can Knits that I knit for my daughter Ruby. Okay, are you guys ready for this? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna also put in a picture of Ruby wearing it. I have posted it on Instagram, so you've probably seen that. But look at how adorable this is. Those are little pockets right there. Oh my goodness. You guys, I love this so much. Oh my goodness. So let's talk about this pattern. This is called the Playdate by Tin Can Knits. I actually ordered, there's a tangible book you can order for $18 and some shipping. And when you order that, you automatically get the ebook, which is $16. So you could do that. It comes with a series of patterns that I have used. All of them are spectacular. There's a cute little baby vest and a hat and some socks and this cardigan, which Tin Can Knits is so, like, this shows babies on the front of the book, but her patterns typically usually go from newborn, and this one does, from newborn 0 to 3 months up to adult 4 extra large. They're amazing. They're amazing. You get a lot of bang for your buck with Tin Can Knits, and her patterns are spectacular. Okay, let's talk about the yarn I used. Oh my goodness, this is Once Upon a Corgi in the No Sleep Till Rhinebeck colorway, and the trim is in Little Fox yarn in the smudge colorway. Now these are fingering weight yarns. The Once Upon a Corgi is her cashmere base that I love. Some people don't like to use cashmere for little kids. Ruby is my only daughter, and she is my last child. I don't mind. I enjoyed knitting it so much. So let me tell you what I did, some changes I made. This pattern calls for buttons. I didn't put buttons on it. I just didn't want them. I did not want buttons because I really had this vision of Ruby wearing kind of a longer cardigan with leggings and like a t-shirt underneath it. And she loves pockets. I love that this has pockets. I kept the pockets, but I didn't put buttons on it. The buttons are cute. I think it's just a personal preference, but you can definitely do this without buttons. Having said that, I think I would have made the band just a tad bit wider. I mean, I'm happy with it, totally happy with it. But now that I'm thinking that it's not buttons, I think I would have just added a little extra. I really wish I would have made one for myself. I think this would have been so cute to have like a mommy and me sweater. And I still probably will make one for myself, but I would have loved to make it in this colorway. Oh my goodness, would I? But another thing I did, so she's 4, but I made size 5'6". She's tall, and I made the sleeves longer on purpose. So she rolls the sleeves up just like this. And when you see her in the picture, the sleeves are rolled up. But see, you can't even tell. It like rolls up so perfectly because I want her to be able to wear this next year. Like, kids grow out of things so fast, right? I want her to wear it this year and next year. So it fits her great this year. It may be a little shorter, but I made it longer on purpose. It looks cute long. It's gonna look great sitting right at her belt line as well. So I made the body longer as well. What else did I do differently? I tried things out on this for you guys and for myself. I don't mind doing that. One of the things I did a regular bind off on the sleeve. And then, let's see, if I can give you, I'm going to try really hard to put in good close-ups, but this is a regular bind off, right? This is a sewn invisible bind off. I like the sewn invisible bind off much better. However, the sewn bind off, oh, I used it for the button, or what would be the button band. And that is where you have to basically measure out yarn that's almost 4 times the length of what you need. And as you can see, this is long. That was a lot of yarn to thread through each time. Tangles become an issue. It seems like a lot of wear and tear for something like this. I would have tried a different button or a different bind off for this. It looks great, but it was not fun to do. And I don't know that that was a practical thing to do as well. I tried a couple techniques that I was really interested in trying. One of them, so they call for on the shoulder seams to put in a 3-needle bind off or the Kitchener stitch, which is what we use in the toe of our socks most of the time, right? Well, what intrigued me was when I was reading about the 3-needle bind off, which I've done before in the past, but I pulled up the Pearl Soho tutorial on it, and they said the 3-needle bind off, the regular one, is it adds more structural integrity because it gives you an actual seam. And as you can see, it's invisible, right? It looks great. But, and I don't think this is really a but, it's kind of got a bulky seam here. It's very soft. Ruby's never noticed it. I mean, it's on the inside, whatever, but it gives strength at the seam, right? But then they had a tutorial, a little video at the bottom for a modified 3-needle bind off. 3-needle ring, 3-needle bind off. Did I say 3-needle ring? There's no ring. 3-needle bind off. Oh my goodness. Anyways, this modified one gets rid of that bulky pearl ridge underneath. So it's more, see, it's just not bulky. You don't see that on the inside. But it gives a slightly different look on the outside. Not much, but to me it's more noticeable. My preference on this is the regular 3-needle bind off. Again, it's a preference thing, but I do like the idea of structural integrity at a shoulder seam. I like the idea of something just a little stronger, and I like the look of it better on the outside. To me, it was more invisible. So that's just my 2 cents on that particular technique. Another thing I did, so I was dying to knit this. Like, I wanted to cast this on. This was one of those knits that I saw in the book. I had Gabby's yarn from Once Upon a Corgi. That's who made the dyer behind this particular yarn. She has a podcast. I had her yarn and I had the pattern. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, it's like I wanted to cast it on right away. I don't think I've ever had such a strong urge to cast something on in my entire life. It almost felt like an addiction. It was kind of probably a little crazy now that I think about it. But I called her and I said, okay, I think I need you to talk me down. I knew I needed another skein to do this yarn. I have not ever knit a sweater where I needed to alternate yarns. I have not done that yet. I've always heard people talk about it, so I wanted her professional opinion. So what would you do? I said I want to cast this on tonight. And I had done up a swatch fabric and the fabric was great. It looked a lot like this, but I'm going back and forth in like a 4-inch area. So you don't get pooling, which I don't mind pooling, to be honest. I'm not one of those people who try to avoid it, but I loved the way my swatch looked. So I explained it to her. She said, Yeah, you need another skein, you need to wait, and you need to alternate. So I waited. Oh, that was hard, guys, but I did it. And I'm so glad I did, because I alternated every row. So you knit and then purl back, and then I would switch to the other yarn, right? There was no bulkiness, it wasn't hard, it worked out perfectly. And I did that on the sleeve. I did every single round. So I'd knit around and then I'd switch it, and it just didn't even create any issues at all. I mean, you can't even tell. It was great. But towards the end, I thought, does it even matter on a sleeve? Like, I'm just gonna quit doing it. And so I did, and there is a little pooling. Let's see if you guys can see this. Yeah, oh yeah, see, I can see it on the camera. It shows up good here, and it does not bother me again. But like I said, this is the look I fell in love with. So I knew I only did on this last part of the sleeve because I wanted to see, and I learned. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna do that for the rest of it. I am going to alternate all throughout the entire sweater, and I did. But so, to me, that's kind of fun. Like, I guess it wouldn't have been a big deal to tear back and do that. I didn't care enough to do that. But it was fun to experiment, especially on a little kid sweater. There's so much you can do here. And I always encourage people to knit little kid sweaters or baby sweaters. It's a great way to get into garments and to learn new techniques. And even if you don't have kids, like, someone's gonna have a baby, right? You got a gift all ready to go. So things I liked and appreciated about this pattern, Tin Can Knits is famous for easy patterns, like easy to understand, easy to read. This is a 6-page pattern, but there's only 4 pages of instructions. And remember, I told you there's sizes from 0 to 3 months all the way to adult 4 extra large. 4 pages is not bad. That's like really good. They were super easy to read. I really appreciated that. I like when a pattern can be done in a minimal amount of pages and space. Sometimes I feel like we have been so, like, patterns are holding our hands so much that we have pages and pages and pages of instructions nowadays, and it's just, I think it gets out of control sometimes. Tin Can Knits, for being so easy and straightforward to understand, still manages to keep it to a minimal amount of pages. I actually really like that. So Tin Can Knits also has a website, tincannknits.com, and they have wonderful tutorials on there. For this pattern in particular, there were 3 tutorials, but it looks like there's only 1 posted at this time, and it was called How to Pick Up and Knit Stitches. You need that for the button band part, which is really cool. They're really great tutorials that I can highly recommend. Okay, things to be cautious of with this pattern. And I don't even know if that's really a thing. I didn't feel like there was really things on here that you needed to be like, oh my gosh, be really, really careful. But I will say the same thing that I said before. Make sure there's lots of sizes. You go through, highlight the size you need, and mark out the rest. Because you go on autopilot on this a lot. There's not a whole lot of, there's not texture or anything going on. So it's easy to go on autopilot and really easy to sometimes get certain instructions mixed up. So make sure that you do that, even on these really simple ones. Trust me, I know. The other thing is, the other thing I would say is read through the pocket instructions before you start. It was just like a processing thing for me at first. When I'm reading it, I like read the first few lines and I just kept reading them over and over, like, I don't get it. Well, when I read through the whole thing, it made perfect sense. And they weren't anything hard or crazy or anything like that. And it's a short section. But once I read through it, I knew what the pattern was going to do. And it just helped me. So I would say that. And then what I would have done a little bit differently maybe, and this is me, the pattern, I think she even mentioned this in the pattern, somebody did, is you knit the pockets ahead of time. And then you put them off on waste yarn or a needle of some sort. I actually would have probably blocked my pockets before I sewed them down. Now when I did sew them down, and it didn't even create a huge, that's the interior of my pocket, but it's easy to get a little wonky, I guess. It's a little bit off on the bottom. She doesn't know, nobody else knows, it's not a big deal, but you have to sew the pockets down, pin them down. I did pin them down, that was good, but it would have helped even more if I would have soaked them and then blocked them and dried them and then did that. So It's not 110% necessary, but that's what I probably would have done differently. I do think I'm gonna knit this for myself. I think I will. I really do, because I really enjoyed it, and it's just a great cardigan. It looks fantastic on Ruby, and I really, really like this pattern. I suppose another thing that I should share with you guys is what I'm wearing. I am wearing my 3 Pips shawl that was designed by Amy Meeks. This is one of my favorite shawlettes, shawls, scarves, I don't know what you want to call it, wrap, because it's that I wear, that I love to wear. It's light, it's fingering weight. I've showed this before. I mean, here it is, just, oh, I just think it's gorgeous. It's in fingering weight. It's a great stash buster. It's got some texture, some easy lace. It's a lot of garter stitch. It's got a picot bind off, a picot, a picot edge if you like those things. I love this. I just really do. Very pretty. So in case somebody wanted to know, I thought I would share that with you now. Now let's move into a slightly different area, if you will, that I want to share with you guys. And that is going to be ripped dye and dyeing jeans. Yes, I tried something I've been wanting to try for quite some time, and that is dyeing jeans. I have a pair of jeans that fit great. They're still in good shape. They're no wear and tear on them, but they were fading terribly. So they look old. And I was getting ready to get rid of them, and I thought, I bet you can re-dye these. And so I did some online research and came up with some tutorials, and I took my black jeans and re-dyed them. They're not a dark black. I was going for a dark black, but I got a dark gray and I used black dye. Now, I did a tutorial. I'm not sure how much of this or if any of it I'm going to plug in because I did a little bit of it wrong. I didn't know until after I was done, but they still turned out great. They turned out wonderful. I could not be happier. I posted a before and after picture on Instagram. I will put that in here now so you can see how different they look. I've worn them since then. I've washed them. This stuff works very, very well. And there's no doubt in my mind that I could go back and dye them again to make them darker if I wanted to. What did I do wrong? Well, I didn't read the instructions through, you know, that whole part where it's like, read your pattern through. Well, in anything, you should read it all the way through before you begin. And I thought I had, but I really hadn't. So I had forgotten to add, jeans are made with cotton typically. I needed to add salt to the dye bath, and I didn't. And you know what? I don't know that it had a huge effect, but that was something I was supposed to do. Also, well, you don't have to do this last part, but they have a fixative. RIT dye has a fixative, color fixative you could use, and you can add that. Had I read that, I would have definitely got it and used it. So even though I didn't do those things, and it's part of the reason I'm not so sure how much of the tutorial I'm going to show you guys, or if at all, I'm going to dye another pair of jeans. I have a pair of blue jeans that I want to dye a darker blue. And I have some blue dye and some black dye because the research I have done said that the denim blue in RIT dye can turn more of a purpley color. And so someone said to get royal blue and add some black. So I'm going to be doing that in the future, and I'm really excited because, again, these are like, I don't know about you, but I hate shopping for jeans. Oh my goodness, I do not like it. It's not enjoyable anymore. It just isn't. So when I have a pair of jeans that work, I like to keep them. So we'll be trying that out later on, and I can't wait to share that with you guys because I know I'm not the only person out there. It's cheap too. It's cheap and easy to do this, okay? So yeah, you guys, I'm curious if anybody else tries this. I think you should. Well, okay, let's just move in and have a little chat here at the end about what I've been doing and some thought processes behind the new rebrand, the name of the show. You guys know I've been dying to do this. Spicy Homemaker was the name of a blog I had long ago, and it was one of those things like, I need a name, and I just used it. It wasn't ever really a name that spoke to me in this particular setting because, like I said, people used to ask me, is it about a marriage? You know, like advice on marriage? Is it a cooking show? You know, and it just didn't seem like it fit. Love the spicy part, you know, and you can still call me spicy and all those things. I'm okay with that. But Hands That Make just really spoke to me. I just love I don't even know how it came about, but I love it. And also because there's so many names you can pick, but then you gotta make sure nobody else has it, and that eliminates so many that was available. And then I found out on Instagram, it's a very popular hashtag. So if you ever use Hands That Make for me in regards to this show, we are going to make it hashtag Hands That Make Show. That will delineate it from the Hands That Make hashtag, which is a great hashtag. I highly recommend it because they have so many cool things on it. I mean, there's knitting, but there's all different kinds of handmade items. Really enjoy that hashtag. I follow that hashtag. And now, of course I do, but I love it, guys. I really do. And I just love the thought. It kept coming back to our hands. You know, we use these words like handmade and making. Those are the things that come through, and they're so appropriate for the things that we do. And I just, it almost sounds like almost sappy in a way, but I keep thinking like it's our hands. Our hands are so important in our crafting. Our crafting does not exist without our hands, does it? I mean, there's so many, when you were kids, you'd say things, silly things like, what would you rather have? Like no legs or no hands, which don't get me wrong. I want all my appendages really. But as I've really gotten into making and it's become such a lifestyle for us, I need my hands. I need my hands. I need my hands. So I hope you like it too. I really do. If you are, let me just explain what's going to happen with the show. We are still going to do some traditional shows, like this one's kind of following a very traditional setting, but there's also going to be some new stuff in there. I want to spice it up for you guys a little bit and show some new things. But don't worry, we're still going to have what I would call like a knit night, a knitting show. You know, it's always going to be knitting focused. There's going to be lots of knitting, but I want to share other things with you because knitters aren't just knitters. Like we often have so many other crafts and talents, and I think that we should share those as well. But knitting is my main passion, my main love, as I'm sure it is for many of you. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about what I've been doing very, very briefly, because it's been a few months. Just so you know too though, on the show, I'm going to be archiving all the old shows soon, but you're getting a heads up. I'll probably be doing it in a week or two, but they will all be archived and offline. So I'm just letting you know, because I really want this show. I'm just so excited about this show, you guys. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about this new look. I'm excited about just so many things about it, and I just want this to be out there. So I'll leave it out there for you guys for a few weeks. If you want to go back and check anything out, feel free, but then it's gonna be gone. Okay, not gone forever, who knows? Maybe I'll pop them up every so often. I don't know. So what have I been doing? What have I been doing since November, right? We had Christmas, which was wonderful. My oldest son and I, we went to the Shenyun Ballet, which was a lot of fun. He's very much into Japanese culture, and that's not a Japanese ballet, it's Chinese. But that show, we're gonna go to Japan in the summer. He wants to go to Japan. He's into anime and that kind of thing, so he wants to learn Japanese. He's been trying to do a little bit of that online. And I thought, you know, he's 15, he's gonna be 16 this year. I thought, if we don't do this now, when are we gonna do it? I read somewhere that your kids spend 80% of their lifetime, 80% of it with you during their school years. So there's all these adult years out there, but only 20% of it goes to the parents after that, which, you know, I mean, I get it to a point, but I think it just kind of highlights that need to savor and make the most of it, right? Japan, not a cheap trip, not a convenient trip. It takes 2 days to fly there at least, and some plane rides are 3 days, and 2 days to fly back. So that's four travel days. And then we'll probably stay for 6 days. That's 10 days. That's a lot. It's a lot. Not a cheap ticket either, but again, when else am I gonna do it? And I'm having him plan most of it. I have to okay it, but I think that's really cool when you empower kids to do that. He's doing all this research. He's so excited about it. One thing I did veto, he wants to sleep in little pods. In Japan, they have these hotels, and it's just a pod, enough to just scoot yourself in, kind of like a, oh, what's that place? Like when they put dead people in the hospital? A little bit bigger than that, right? You just slide right in and sleep there for the night. No. Mommy needs a Western type hotel, okay? Mommy needs a non-communal shower because it's communal showers and you check in and out every night. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just not. So we'll see what the rest of it entails. On the knitting front, like retreats and stuff like that and shows, I just got back from the Knitting Pipeline retreat, which is like 2 hours north of me in Illinois. Paula from the Knitting Pipeline, this was the first retreat she ever put together. It was wonderful. She still has it to this day. And she started this particular one in Illinois. She wanted to create a retreat that was affordable for most people. And it is. It's so affordable. It was so much fun. It was the true, to me, it was like the true form of a retreat. There was classes you could go to, but you didn't have to, and you didn't pay for them. It was very laid back. It was a week of knitting with friends. It was so nice. And there was shopping. They had vendors. It was great. I loved it. I loved it so much, and I will definitely be doing that again. When you have something that close, how can you not go? I'm embarrassed that I haven't went sooner. March 9th, which is coming right around the corner, that is Vogue Knitting Live in Chicago. And my friend Jamie lives up there, invited me to stay with her, and we're gonna go do that. So I'm so excited to go to Vogue Knitting Live in Chicago. And I'm gonna be meeting up with some friends there. I'm excited to see some people and just see what this is all about. So clearly there's lots of things I've been doing in the last 3 months, but I think we'll wrap it up here. I cannot wait to see you guys again. I'm so excited for this new adventure of ours. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, drop me a line. I love to hear from you guys. I'm Spicy Homemaker on all the social media. And until next time, I hope you have some spectacular making adventures. And I cannot wait to see you again. Bye.